The very idea of an inner life is totally foreign to human beings, almost without exception. The idea of a secret life that is different from the outer world life is unknown. The world is captivated by, entranced by, dedicated to the outer physical world of people, of objects, of movement. In short, human beings are dedicated totally to what they can see and hear and touch. This is the only world that exists for almost every man and woman on earth. And with most of them, it is the only world they will ever know. If you start to tell one of these people, outer directed people who take their orders from the world, if you start to suggest to them that there is another way to live in this world other than through the five senses, they push it away as having no meaning for them. And indeed, it does not have any purpose, value to them. And we're going to find out why this is, because if you can examine your own life, maybe you can identify yourself as a person who looks out at the world, sees only the noise and activity out there, sees only that. You can identify yourself as a person who can only see that world out there. Now, be very careful. There is a devilish trick that your psychic system plays on you if you were to begin to suspect the existence of something else. And it immediately goes to work to attack you if you even begin to explore the theory alone of an inner life, and it's more than the theory, it's an actuality. And this trick is to set off the warning siren of danger. And the individual immediately listens to that warning signal and is even grateful for it and says, I heard what was said, that there's a danger in me going away from the total outer world and beginning to explore something else. Now, who sets off the warning signal? All this is extremely profound. You don't know how advanced this is. Who sets it off? But the old nature that is the very same thing as the outer world. Isn't your mind a racket? Come on. Aren't your emotions churning like waves on the ocean, going one way then another way in a stormy ocean, back and forth? Isn't this your inner life? What's happening out in the world? Take it generally first of all, and then we'll get specific and personal. What is the outer world of shallowness, of crime, both visible and invisible, of wars, of threats? What is that except the projection of each individual? Already the siren just went off. Who do you know, including yourself, who will admit that he, she, was personally, and I mean personally, responsible for all the wars we've had? responsible for the famine, for the massacres. Now maybe those things aren't too close to you right now, so let's get a little closer to that. Who do you think is responsible for all the bad news you hear about? Anything, whatever on the news. Who do you think is responsible for the fear that's inside of people, of the income being less than the outgo financially, of just barely being able to make it? Who do you think is responsible for your fear of the exterior world? It is you, because that is your nature. Your nature is fear. That's your secret inner world, and that is what you project out there, and you create it yourself. Do you understand? If not, let me emphasize it just a little bit. Where do you ever hear anyone in government, in religion, in society, in homes, in schools, where do you ever hear one human being having the wisdom and the decency and the courage to stand up in front of anyone, whether it's 2 or 3 people in the family or 1 million people watching on television? Where do you ever find anyone with the courage to point the finger and say, you did it yourself? You are responsible for what happens to you and everyone else. The miserable cowards. All those so-called leaders in religion, in society, all those weak mama's boys, and those deceitful, vicious women who will turn on you in a flash like a snarling animal if you say the slightest word, give the slightest hint that he or she is an animal responsible for this animal-like world. You don't find them. And I want to tell you, listening to me, that you are responsible too. When's the last time something swelled up in you that said, decency above all? I am not going to be entranced by anyone who promises me what I want. I am not going to be taken in by any woman who gives me what I want. I'm going to say, I sense that I have been a slave of the world out there, and I've been its victim because I'm the victim of my own delusion. Don't you dare twist what I'm telling you when I say that that is a vicious, evil, sick world out there to a degree you can't see. The conspiracy is complete. And if you fear it, which you do, you are a part of it. Listen to what I'm trying to tell you. If you're angry toward high taxes, if you're afraid of inflation, if you worry over those warmongers or us getting involved with sickies who go to war with each other, if you're afraid of it, you are contributing to it. You had better get very, very personal with what's going on inside of you, so that you can understand what's going on inside of you, which is simply a projection that goes out into the world, and you reproduce yourself. When are you going to stop being a part of the mad scheme? I'll tell you when you will be. when you know absolutely that the only valuable thing in heaven and in earth, the only valuable thing is for you to be new. Just a hint is enough.